Nice to see you all, or those of you online seeing me. I don't know if it's nice, but anyway, it's nice to know that somebody's seeing me online. How's that? Okay, so we have been tasked, as Mitch said, to refresh the Master Trainer Program and some of the materials and resources that go with it. So we are meeting at the end of April, beginning of May, and in Boulder, Colorado, and we will be doing a walkthrough of the training, the current training flow, and we're going to be incorporating best practices from the field. So those master trainers who are coming to Boulder to this workshop are gathering their best practices and bringing them with us, as well as noting typical challenges for training and how best to address those. We are asking them to also consider how to incorporate newer technology as appropriate, as well as incorporating different resources such as refining slides or newer slides, different slides, sketches, models, anything that they use in their training. Some other components that are necessary to include in the training are ways to incorporate elementary globe, both the early readers, big readers, as well as the learning activities, connections to protocols and other investigations to provide a more of an Earth as a system feel to a training, any particular training, and ways to incorporate the ESSB materials, protocols, and learning activities. So, switch that. Okay, so we have 4 different groups that are going to be coming together: atmosphere and phenology, hydrology, land cover biology, and soil. And so master trainers have been organized into these 4 groups based on their certification as master trainers. And those with multiple certifications have been placed into investigations in order to create equal groups. Okay. Actually, let me go back one. So what we're going to do is these master trainers are going to be walking through, as I said, the current flow of materials, and they're going to be working as a team. So approximately 8 or 9 individuals led by a facilitator. Paul Adams is facilitator for atmosphere and phenology. Tony Murphy is facilitator for hydrology. Dixon Butler is facilitator for soil, and Jen, that's J-E-N, not G-N, is facilitator for, that's the next Jen, is facilitator for land cover biology. And so this team of people are going to be walking through how training occurs from all of these best practices and refining or refreshing those training approaches. And again, all of those components that I listed before, incorporating elementary globe and ESSPs, et cetera, and looking for connections between the individual protocols from one investigation to another and within investigations, so that no matter which, as partners, as you put together a workshop that incorporates a number of protocols, no matter what those protocols are, there should be a connection between those individual protocols. So even if you're looking at temperature, surface temperature, air temperature, soil, and water temperature, there should be a connection between those protocols rather than just independent protocols being trained. And so that is one of the main goals of bringing all these people together with their best practices and thinking about how do you make connections not only between the easy ones like temperature across the board, but then looking at how do you make a connection between surface temperature and land cover. and I'm sure it's being done already. It's just a matter of making sure that, and this is probably the main goal of the workshop, is making sure that trainers and especially master trainers are training in a consistent manner. So that no matter which workshop you go to, if you see protocol X at one workshop, if you go to another workshop somewhere in another part of the country, you would see protocol X and it would look exactly the same. And therefore, there would not be some ambiguity about people saying, I thought you did X, Y, and Z before you did Z, Y, and X. Okay, where was I? We will. Okay. So we will also have Teacher's Guide to Technology update, a process of reviewing protocols, and this has been something that I think John and a team of folks from NASA and NOAA are leading, looking at reviewing protocols. We're going to have an overview or an introduction to the new website, and then wrap up evaluation and how to move forward as a team, because this is a very ambitious workshop, and chances are we will have things to do after the workshop.
That isn't the idea of the global workshop. I believe one of the ideas behind the Globe website is a social network that houses all the information from these trainings, so everyone gets the same kind of information. So we're pretty happy about that. So, and then the extension is how are we going to extend this later on, and that's where Tony comes in. Thank you.
So the moving forward part, actually before we get to the moving forward part, 3 of the facilitators are here. So we met last night to kind of go over the agenda and figure out how we're going to do this, because we have a 7-hour period with our own investigation area, and then we've got a 2.5 to 3 hour period to train other folks or bring them all up to speed for the rest of that training in April and May. So so if you're going to that training, you should expect an email shortly from your facilitator that will ask you to do some things to come to that workshop to share your good knowledge and expertise within the team that you're in, but then also to other folks. So moving forward then, this is still in flux as the agenda for the annual meeting has not been completely fleshed out yet, but I have been receiving requests from some people to know what protocols they're actually going to be trained on in that 2-day block period that we have for training in the annual meeting. And so one of the things that the organizing committee will need to look at is, are we going to do training of protocols? Are we going to do an extension of the master trainer piece? How do we work all of that into a 2-day training block? That we already have some period of time set aside for training on the website around data input and data analysis and the tools that are going to be available for that, and then another part for the social media aspect of the new Globe website. So if anybody has any suggestions on what they would like that to look like, please contact me about that. We are setting up a survey that will go out to all of the registrants on what protocols, if they would like to see protocol training going on there, to probably nominate their top 3 or 5 protocols that they would like to see trained at the annual meeting. And the reason that we need to do that is because we need to know what people want. We need to get the appropriate equipment and the appropriate trainers in place for that. And if you are coming to the Boulder training, there is an expectation, as Gary sent out in an email, that if we do call on you for help for the July training, that you would be available for that. And maybe expectation is too strong, but that you would be willing to do it. And so we would hope that you would come to the meeting to help out on the training for those 2 days. Questions on that part? Thank you.